Hey guys, Shane McMurray from the Wedding Report. In this episode, I interview Kristie, who's a photographer in Utah. They have a studio, and she does basically intimate weddings, elopements, and then portrait type work. They'll be moving to Pennsylvania soon. It's a really good interview. Enjoy. All right, so Kristie, tell me about your business. Tell me what city you're in. Tell me, give me your website address, your Instagram, all that good stuff.
Okay, so I own Kristie Montrois Portraits. We are a elopement and intimate wedding and family portrait photography studio, boutique style. So we
Okay.
a whole lot of clients over a year. We focus on the quality instead of quantity. Instead of assembly line, it's more the experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shooting about 20 weddings a year, intimate weddings, and about 10 to 15 elopements, depending on where they are. And then, of course, during the rest of the time, I'm shooting in the studio or on location for family sessions.
Sure.
Our clientele is for weddings are weddings that are intimate settings. So weddings that are 50 guests or less, because the experience is what's important. I think a lot of times, even as a bride myself, when I was a bride myself, I got caught up in what color the table napkins were going to be, or the flowers. Did my bridesmaids' dresses match, and so on. I remember about 20 minutes of our wedding ceremony. So, looking back on my own wedding and what really mattered to me, that's kind of what directed me toward wanting to do intimate weddings, because it's more about the couple and the experience and their relationship before God, and being more personal about what's really, really important.
Yeah.
Same with elopements. I have a fascination with old wedding customs, and particularly with the elopements, when people would run off and get a handfast in the forest. They'd have just the priest, so that they would it was about them and not all the ceremonial stuff.
Yeah.
But in some countries, it was to prevent access to the bride on her wedding night, or forbidden love, or all the fairy tales. To me, that's really romantic. And so kind of that private wedding sort of situation. So those are my two favorites. I love shooting elopements and the handfastings and intimate weddings.
Yeah.
I have done cathedral weddings at the Catholic Church, or big church weddings. They're beautiful. I don't enjoy them. And I don't enjoy them because the experience is just so fast-paced and crowded. And you hear about, and I'm sure there are many photographers will tell you, there's Momzilla and Bridezilla and, those kinds of things. But you just don't have that with intimate weddings, because mom's not stressed out. There's not so many details that she has to worry about. The bride is not as stressed out. It's more about, I can't wait to be with you the rest of my life. So those are the kind of things that build my business.
Yeah, that's interesting that you're focused on like a very specific niche of intimate weddings, 50 or less, right? And elopements versus, just whatever, because, the average guest size is decreasing over time. So I think weddings are actually getting more intimate in general, which is great, because that means there's more of a market for you. But I think it's awesome that you just focus on that and really know, hey, this is where I fit. This is where I want to be. That's really good. Let's talk a little bit about what goes into the work that you do. So you meet someone, you guys hit it off, and you got, they sign a contract with you. What after that, what happens and what goes into it, even through the day of the wedding?
Well, I'm a planner, and with elopements, first of all, elopements, you could get notified 2 weeks before or 7 days before, depending
Yeah.
on the couple. And so that's it is a little bit of a fast pace depending on where they're going. Like if they're going out of the country, or if they are, running off to the Whitechapel in Las Vegas Strip. I mean, it kind of depends on that. The details are much smaller and more intimate in something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that I do when I receive an inquiry or I meet somebody who's gonna get married, is I send them out a getting to know you questionnaire, and this it's kind of a beast. It's long, but it asks things like what are your favorite drinks? What do you like to do with your time? Are you a sports fan? Do all these things about who they are as a person, as well as their spouse. And then I'd like to set up a consultation. Today I'm talking to you. I'm in the studio, and this is our consultation.
Nice.
And in the studio, sometimes if the bride is not available to come to the studio, we'll have like a Skype or a Zoom conference call so that I can talk to them in person. It's really hard to there's things that you can online shop for. Amazon weddings is not an Amazon cart thing. I may not be for everybody, and everybody is not for me. So do that. So I want to get them in front of me, get to know their personality, make sure that I'm who they like.
Mm-hmm.
Together with the bride and groom or mom, depending on what we're doing, we will build a wedding timeline, and that tells me, when are they getting ready? So like for an intimate wedding, are they getting ready in a hotel? Are they getting ready in a getting ready room? Is it in a church? What time do you have a hair appointment? Are they coming to, all those little details, because intimate weddings have all the same traditions. It's only a smaller amount of people, and they happen a lot faster. So we find out a timeline. Are they doing a first look or not? Are they having a little reception, a big reception? Because some people will have like an intimate wedding and a large reception, or they'll have an intimate wedding and they'll go to dinner at, a Denny's. Some will go to dinner at some fancy 5-star restaurant. What is it? And then, so we fill out a timeline, and on the day of, I like to arrive at least an hour and a half early so I can get a lay of the land. If it's local, I will go to the location or area and scout it out even days before, so that good idea. We also talk about, I can bring this up, I also build albums for people, and wall art. We use Graphy Studio, so our albums and wall art are from Italy. They come out of, we send them through Graphy.
Yeah.
And we'll design that. What do you want? Do you want a leather album? Do you want big images, things like that?
Mm-hmm.
All of my packages include the digital imagery, because I decided a long time ago that it's just something that people want. I know that this is very good on your wall, and I make that, but people want to be able to share with their friends the images as well, and it's kind of hard to take a picture of your wall,
Yeah.
So that's all included in that. And then the day of, arrive early, lay of the land, figure out what the atmosphere is like. Is the bride in a good mood? Is she nervous, or
Yeah.
the groom speaking when? And then we get started. We shoot it. With then the reception, if they have a reception of some kind, we'll shoot that. I at that night, I like to send them like 10 or 20 pictures in a slideshow of images that we shot that day, because
Mhm.
I hate waiting for my images to come back, and then
Yeah.
you're just like, oh my gosh, and it kind of gets the bride familiar with what she's going to get. It's excited. It's
Yeah.
funny day. So we send that off to her, and about 6 weeks later, we bring them back in for an in-person consultation. I like to do the in-person stuff, like I said, if I can. If I can't, then we'll do it via Skype. And we'll do a reveal, and she'll, pick what images she wants. Maybe she wants all of them, who knows? And then about 2 to 3 weeks after that, she receives her stuff.
Yeah. Do you find that people like the digital image part that you mentioned, right? Like you give them the digital image. Do you find that people really like that? Because I feel like people are so into sharing instantly, digital images from their phone and stuff, that like that would be kind of cool to have so that I could share it.
Well, I think there's a big misconception about digital images. We are not in a digital age. We're in a right now age. Like,
Mhm.
we're on a age where I want everything quickly, and it's not. This is and digital images are a quick resolution, or quick satisfaction
Yep.
for people. And so I don't feel like they don't want prints anymore, or they don't want albums. Sure they do, but we are in a on-demand industry, or the whole world is really.
Yep.
And so important to be able to offer the digital images to people.
Yeah. I think that's really key what you just said, because we're an instant gratification society now, and everything needs to be like right now. And if it's not, then, we either get upset, or, our feelings get hurt, or who knows, right? Um,
I don't feel like it hurts my bottom line. I mean, there is some discussion as to whether or not offering digital images um, hurts your bottom line, or hurts your ability to make a decent sale.
yeah.
And I don't believe that. I haven't had any issues with that. I think it's more about your rapport with the clients, or what you're offering,
Mhm.
as what your sale is going to be. How do you service people?
Yeah.
Biggest part, I think, of our business. And so if you service people well, it doesn't matter what you're offering. Really, they're going to purchase it. They chose you for a reason. And so I do think that the industry wise, and I think people get too caught up in um, restricting themselves from being able to service the client. And the digital images for us is a way that we service the client.
Well, I like what you do. Like you send photos to them that night, so they can at least see what's happening. I was actually interviewing a photographer from Austin area a couple weeks ago, and he puts together a slideshow at the event and then shows it to them on an iPad so that they can look at it during the reception, right? And he just feels like that's just like something that they really love.
We've done that. It's really hard.
Yeah.
I kudos to any photographer who does that, because it's difficult. We've done a 20 to 25 image slideshow where they you on Lightroom real quick, and you pass it around, or they pass it around and they show all their friends, and that's a great marketing tool. I mean, we have gotten new brides off of that.
Yeah.
It's a great way to market your business and to service your client. Um, I am not. I have this issue with pulling myself away from the events, like I'm going to miss something long enough to go and whip up a couple of edits in my car or wherever.
Yeah.
While I'm at the reception or at the wedding, I don't ever want the bride to have to ask, where is she?
Yeah. Right.
Capturing this. And that's a personal preference thing. And when it comes to my edits, I'm a control freak. I do all of my own editing. I don't outsource. I know a lot of photographers do, and there's definitely a market for it. I've attempted it before, and I'm too much of a nitpicky control person to let my work out. So God bless the people who do it. You know, shoot.edit's great, and they did a great job, but I just have too much of a
I
control.
got you. I got you. So, if you were to give couples one piece of advice when they're looking for a photographer, what would that be?
I think slow down and really look at what you want when you're reaching out to photographers. Instead of looking for what's the best price, look for what can the photographer offer you that meets your needs, regardless. When I was looking for my photographer, my husband, my now husband, was focused on this. How much is it going to cost? And I was like, these are the images that are going to capture us the rest of our lives. Our most important day. And so I was looking more for the artwork or what I wanted to do with it. What are you going to do with your images? Are you going to place them in an album and shove them in a drawer? Are you going to put them on a coffee table book? Are you going to display them in your home, on the wall? What is it you're going to do? And then look for the photographer that meets that. There are, yes, we offer digitals, but we don't shoot and burn.
Mm-hmm.
If you are just wanting something that to throw into a memory box on a disc, and not really display, then great. You need to look for the lesser cost of an art photographer. If you're going to look for something that you're actually going to display on your wall, where do they print? Who does their work? What kind of prints are you getting? Are you getting canvas images? Are you getting, like, ours are acrylic wood blocks? They're solid wood blocks with a HD print with acrylic over the top. Is that something that that you want? Is that within style? And so I think that's brides and couples need to slow down and see what they want before they pick a photographer. I think that's why couples become unhappy sometimes when they get their stuff back, is they didn't, in the beginning of the process, they didn't really take into consideration what it was that they wanted after the wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's difficult for them sometimes because there's just so many things they're trying to do. Unless they know specifically, like, these are the most important things to me, like they've got that heads down, they probably don't think about some other things, right? And it just snowballs.
Right. And book early.
Yeah.
Book your photographer early. I know that cake doesn't taste as good a year after the reception when you try to bite into it. But if you book early, you can get that photographer that you may really want, that meets your needs, before they get booked by somebody else.
Yeah, that's good. Good point. Let's flip sides a little bit. Let's talk about the business part of this. What would you say is working well for you right now in business?
Having a boutique style studio, it works well for me. It not being on an assembly line. I don't get stressed out if I don't get every single inquiry. If I don't meet every single inquiry, that allows me to focus on the brides and couples that I do have, like slowing down. There are photographers who shoot 30 to 60 weddings a year. God bless them. um, I couldn't do that. I just couldn't, because I still have a husband and family of my own at home, and so devoting time to them is just as important as devoting time to my client. So that's working for me, is to recognize what can I really handle and not over extend myself.
Yeah.
My price works. Um, I'm probably in the middle when it comes to my market.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm niched within my niche.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I have flexibility there, but I'm still fairly reasonable. My elopements start at 1,500, and my intimate weddings, the top package is 5,500.
Yeah.
So, and including, albums and wall art.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But also having an a la carte too, because sometimes, someone only wants 4 hours of coverage and a disc, okay.
That's good that you recognize that, because I think a lot of times people don't recognize other opportunities that exist in their market I think that's missed by a lot of businesses. They have their mindset on, look, this is me and this is all I do, from a price range perspective. But if you can, I don't know, maybe I just think about it from the business side, and that is look, if someone wants to pay me $1,200 to come to their event for 4 hours and shoot it and give them the thing at the end, okay. I just made $300 an hour for 4 hours of my time, right?
Right. And the other side of that too is, with my business, being comfortable with my business, I hope this doesn't sound negative, but I don't care about other photographers' pricing. A lot of, that you'll get photographers who shop you, and it's just the nature of the beast, with this industry. And it doesn't bother me. If someone calls me and says, I want to know your pricing, I'll give it to them. I'm pretty secure in who I am as a photographer, that I don't care if another photographer knows my methods or no, it's not some secret trick. We're supposed to be out lifting each other up. That's how the industry works. And it actually takes a lot less stress off me for when it comes to marketing, and what I'm doing, because building those relationships with other photographers, like I said, I'm niched within my niche. So I do get calls that are just not my client. I'll get a friend that calls and says, I have 100 guests. Sorry, that's not me.
Yeah.
But what I have a list of people that I can send you to, but that's not, 100 guests is not my thing.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. On the other side of the what's working well, what's not working well for you right now?
Well, forward marketing. The process of moving to Pennsylvania. In July, we'll be moving to Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, from Utah. Prior to doing photography, I am also a law enforcement officer. I retired in July with 20 years of service.
Awesome.
So we are moving back to where my husband and I are from. We're from the north. We're both from the Northeast, and so trying to establish out there while I'm here is a little different. It's a little tricky, and especially with setting up family sessions and stuff like that in between. But in general, that's probably not working. The wedding wires and the affiliate programs. Some of them work, some of them don't. I think they work with what you put into them.
Yeah.
I'm not completely sold that on them this year. I've only gotten probably 2 or 3 referrals out of bookings, I should say. A lot of a lot of inquiries. The spamming, the fake bride spamming, that makes it hard.
Yeah.
That's not working.
Yeah. So someone I just interviewed recently is a planner. She moved from uh, back east. I think she was in DC, and she moved all the way over to Sacramento. And she's doing what you're doing, and she's moving from one city to the next. She said one of the things that helped her was to be on the Not Wedding Wire in that location, and then start building a reputation within that location, so that she would starting to get inquiries for that area as she was making her way over, and that helped her. I mean, it still took her a while to build relationships with venues and build relationships with people in the area, and then build up that area and get more business. But that helped her a lot. I don't know, maybe that'll help you.
I think that being on Wedding Wire or the Knot, I think it's important to your business. Period. I'm not saying that being on an affiliate program is not working, or it's not working.
It's difficult though, right? You got to put in it.
It is difficult, but it's also exposure. We get exposure all the time, but being out there not only just among potential clients, but among your peers, so that your peers can see what you're doing as well. I think that being part of the Wedding Wire and the Knot is important. What's not working within that are the level of brides or fake, or I'm gonna say fake brides, that target, and I think it probably happens to more photographers. I mean, it happens to everybody.
It happens.
And so trying to find a way to limit that or address that, that's what I mean by it's not, that part's not
working. I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. But forward marketing, I didn't know that you could, if you weren't already in that spot, that you could list yourself in. Yeah,
she said she had to call her rep or whoever. I don't know any of the details. I know who they are as a company. I don't do anything on there because that's not my business. I'm purely a research company. But she said that helped her. She just called her rep, said, "Hey, look, I'm moving. Can you move my stuff over there?" And that helped her out. And then she said she started building relationships with venues and other places within the market to try to, to work through some stuff to try to just get her name out there and things like that. So,
see, that's great information that I'll put to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just seemed very similar. I'm like, wow, maybe this will help. So that's great. What specific advice would you give businesses? Like if you were to give them one piece of advice, new business coming into the market, what would it be?
Oh, get insurance.
Good.
And I joke about that, but it's absolutely true. Make sure that you're completely licensed and get insurance above anything else, especially as a wedding photographer. These are people's most important days, and sometimes you're out on shoots. I see you'll see like trash the dress sessions that are posted, and the bride is hip high in a heavy dress in the ocean, and you're just like, oh my God, I hope that person had insurance, because the right undertow grabs her and she's done for.
Yeah.
That is probably the biggest thing, not only for your equipment and your business and liabilities and things like that, but do it for your clients, your brides. Do it for your families that you're photographing. But also when you're talking to your clients, to make sure they know you have insurance, because that gives them a sense of responsibility, like that you're a responsible business owner.
Yeah.
You're a business owner, and even if you're quote honest, taking a few weddings for friends here and there, and you're receiving money for it, a couple $100 here and there, you're in business whether you believe it or not. And so making sure that your client is covered is probably the best advice I could.
That's great. It's great advice. Thank you. All right. So give me your best, worst wedding or business story. What do you got for me?
Okay, so my best one, I have been photographing professional athletes' families for about 3 years, up until maybe last. Well, I still do have some that I'm still visiting, and 2 years ago, let's see, is it 2 years now since the Marjorie Stoneman event in Florida? We Florida Panthers hockey wife. She's a coach's wife. Kelly McFarland and I put together a photo drive for families, and is when hockey wives would purchase packages for their families, whether it was for couples, engagement that was coming up, or family portrait. It didn't matter what it was. We would donate a package to a survivor family at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. And so we did something like 15 packages. We've photographed 13 out of 18 injured survivor families while we were down there. And that was one of my best experiences, because we were able to give back to families and help them put their lives back together. But that part of it was, but the stories that you heard about their families and what their families went through, and then giving them a piece of life back, you know, for them to put on the wall. So what we ended up doing is we did give them all the digitals, but we also gave each one of them a large wall portrait for the wall as part of the package, and photographed them wherever they wanted to be photographed. Now this was in Fort Lauderdale because it was Marjorie Stoneman, and so a majority of them were on the beach. And so we were shooting from 7 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening for several days straight, with families lined up back to back, and gave them like full hair, makeup, treatment, everything for this package. My first family, and Sonesta Hotels down there gave us space in their hotel so that the families could be comfortable when they were receiving services.
Fantastic.
It was great. So my first family, her son had been shot in the ribs during the shooting, and had lost some use of his arm, and was severely traumatized, obviously, from the event. And we get them out on the beach, and we're photographing them. And in the middle of the shoot, she just comes up and she wraps her arms around me and says, "Thank you for this. I can't tell you how much this means to us to have all of our family together in one place, safe, unharmed." And to me, I think that's what it's all about, are putting those families and putting people's lives together, so that they can remember how important those moments are. That was my best memory.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's very touching, and wow. I mean, that's awesome that you guys did that for them.
It changed my life forever. I will say that. Coming from a law enforcement career perspective, and looking at that, I wanted to do something, because that's what it's about. It's about rushing in and protecting and servicing people. Yeah. But that was completely different. This was from a completely different angle. This was coming from I'm a wife and mother too, and I had at the time I had high schoolers. My kids are both out of school now, but I had high schoolers, and I couldn't imagine what life was like for these families.
Yeah.
For the National Hockey League to jump in and help out like that, and to for Kelly McFarland. Her husband is the assistant coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, Paul McFarland,
Yep.
and to just jump in and help organize something like that that was just full of gratitude and love for their community was a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story. Kristie, thanks so much. I really appreciate you doing this, and we'll talk soon.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. I hope that you found it helpful. Please share it with other people. Also, if you're getting married or you work in the wedding industry, I would love to interview and share your information with other people. Send me a text, 520-399-8580, or shoot me an email at letschat@wedding.report.